Tyler was just mowing the lawn on a quiet Saturday morning when two men in fake uniforms stormed onto our property and arrested him. No rights, no real badges, just flimsy stickers, zip ties, and a truck labeled HOA enforcement. They took my 16-year-old son without the slightest idea who his father was, or what they had just unleashed. The mower's hum still buzzed faintly in the air as Tyler's hands slipped from the handle, the machine rolling forward on its own for a second before stalling against the slope of our yard. One of the men clamped a hand around his bicep, tight, white-knuckled, like he was restraining a criminal. Tyler looked over at me, not with fear exactly, but with that dazed confusion only teenagers get when the adult world suddenly makes no sense. His lips parted, but no words came. I moved on instinct, half jogging, half sprinting toward them. "Let go of my son. Now!" The second man stepped between us. He was smaller, maybe mid-50s, with a patchy goatee and eyes that didn't blink enough. "He's in violation. It's a noise day, not a maintenance day." "That's not a thing," I snapped. "There's no such regulation. We've lived here for 10 years. He pulled a laminated sheet from his clipboard and waved it in my face like a badge of honor. At the top, in oversized font, it read Community Conduct Addendum. It wasn't even official looking, just a badly formatted PDF printed in color and stuffed into a plastic sleeve. Below it was a list of made-up rules about authorized lawn care hours, approved grass lengths, and penalties for aesthetic disturbances. I'd never seen this before in my life. "This isn't real," I said, pushing the paper aside. "Who even are you?" "We're contracted HOA enforcement," the tall one said without meeting my eyes. "We have jurisdiction over municipal landscaping ordinances as defined under clause." "Jurisdiction?" I laughed. A short, clipped, furious sound. "You're two guys in cargo pants with a bootleg sign on your truck. You think that gives you the right to manhandle my son?" Tyler tried to pull away then. "Mom, can you just—" "Don't move, kid," the tall one snapped, his hand tightening. Tyler winced. That was it. I stepped forward again, adrenaline spiking. "Touch him again and I'll call the police. The real police." The short one pulled something from his belt, an imitation walkie, more like a toy than a tool, and pressed a button. Static hissed, then silence. No voices. No dispatch. "Ma'am, you're interfering with an official HOA detainment. If you continue, you'll be cited, fined, and potentially arrested under Section 9B. "There is no Section 9B. He smiled like a man who'd gotten away with this before. And that's when the fear set in. Not just because of what they were doing, but because of how confident they looked doing it. The moment the truck disappeared around the corner, a sickening hollowness spread through my chest, like my lungs forgot how to function. The image of Tyler, arms pinned behind his back, lips tight with confusion and fear, played on a brutal loop in my head. There hadn't even been time for a goodbye, or a hang on, or anything that would have told him he wasn't alone in this. I could barely hold the phone. My fingers trembled as I stabbed at the numbers, praying I wasn't about to be routed to some automated hell. By the time the dispatcher's voice came on, cool and clinical, I felt like I was underwater. "Two men, fake HOA enforcement. They took my son," I managed, breath hitching. "They cuffed him. He's 16. They said something about noise ordinances but never showed ID. Just grabbed him. Drove off. A white truck. No plates I could see." Silence. Too long. Then a sharp intake of breath, like something had clicked. "We've had 2 similar calls today," the dispatcher said, voice tightening. "Stay put. Units are on their way." I stood on the front lawn, staring at the spot where Tyler had last stood. The mower still sat abandoned in the grass, engine off, wheels askew. His earbuds lay on the driveway, one still buzzing faintly with whatever music he'd been listening to. I picked them up like they were a piece of evidence, or a memory already fading. Red and blue lights painted the street before the sirens even reached my ears. Tires screeched, doors slammed. 2 officers emerged, hands on their belts, eyes already scanning the street. One of them, Officer Drew, had that look, jaw clenched, eyes hard. "You said white truck? HOA markings?" I nodded, clutching Tyler's earbuds like a lifeline. He exchanged a glance with his partner. They were on Old Pine earlier today, went after an elderly couple, confiscated a bench swing and threatened fines over decorative excess. We figured it was a prank. But this is next level. My stomach turned to acid. The HOA board had been a nuisance, sure. Nitpicky emails, nasty letters about recycling bins. But this wasn't HOA. This was impersonation, abduction. And then I remembered. Tyler wasn't just any kid. He was Ray Callahan's son. Ray, who spent 20 years on the force, who read crime reports before breakfast, who taught Tyler how to disarm a stranger before teaching him how to shave. Tyler had grown up in the back of precinct meetings, knew the Miranda warning backwards, and could spot a fake badge from across a parking lot. The more I thought about it, the more a grim certainty settled into my bones. They didn't know who they took, but they were about to find out. The strip mall looked abandoned, the kind of place the world forgets after the third dollar store closes and the neon open signs die for good. A few cracked parking spaces, a boarded-up vape shop, and behind it, an alley cluttered with trash bins, broken pallets, and a rusted metal door that looked like it hadn't opened in years. Until today. The truck was backed in crooked, its tailgate half open, engine still running. Tyler stood beside it, shoulders stiff, wrists red from the zip ties they'd used. His cap was gone. His expression was unreadable. Too calm for someone his age, but I recognized that posture. That was his father's spine. The two men were arguing, their words low and agitated. The short one paced, muttering about protocols. The taller one, the same brute who'd grabbed my son, stood squarely in front of Tyler like he was guarding a prize, or bracing for something. They didn't notice the black Crown Vic until it rolled in slow, almost lazy, like it had all the time in the world. The moment the door clicked open, time stopped. Chief Ray Callahan stepped out, calm as ever. Slacks pressed, shirt tucked, belt worn from years of service. The badge on his hip glinted once in the sunlight. His wedding ring caught the same light when he rested his hand casually against the holster on his right side. Not threatening, not aggressive, but clear. 3 words, low and deliberate. You boys. 3 seconds. The taller man turned, mouth already open. Sir, this is an HOA. 1, Ray said, cutting him off without blinking. This is a misunderstanding. 2. They stepped back like their bodies had finally caught up to their brains. Tyler didn't move. He didn't have to. The moment Ray saw him, wrists scraped, shirt rumpled, pride intact, a heat rose behind his eyes that didn't show in his voice, but echoed in the silence around him. You impersonated law enforcement. You detained a minor. You crossed city lines. That's federal. You used a vehicle that isn't yours, equipped with a stolen badge and 0 legal authority. No shouting, just facts, stated like a judge handing down a sentence. Then the short one, with that last flicker of idiocy, turned to Tyler. You never said your dad was a cop. Tyler raised an eyebrow, brushing grass from his jeans. You never asked. The tall one swallowed hard. Wait, you're his dad? Ray smiled then. Not kindly. Wrong. Damn. Kid. By Monday morning, the story had spread like wildfire. Local outlets first. Channel 4 ran it under teen illegally detained by fake HOA agents. Turns out he's the police chief's son. Then the state stations picked it up. By Wednesday, we were fielding emails from national reporters, and by Friday, someone said CNN had a segment queued up. But behind the headlines, the facts were far uglier than anyone wanted to believe. The two men, Derek Sloan and Paul Haskins, weren't just power-hungry HOA members. They were orchestrating a pilot program, a rogue regional residential compliance force, funded in secret by 3 HOA boards across the county. Their plan was simple: intimidate enough residents to justify the creation of a paramilitary-style branch of HOA enforcement. No oversight, no accountability. all dressed in knockoff uniforms and backed by fear. Until they picked Tyler. The charges stacked fast: impersonating law enforcement, unlawful detainment of a minor, transportation of a restrained juvenile across jurisdictional boundaries, use of a fraudulent badge in the commission of a crime, and operating under a fictitious authority to extract compliance. There were 18 felonies between them by the time the district attorney finished. But the arrests were just the beginning. Within days, homeowners from at least 6 neighborhoods came forward with eerily similar stories: threats over lawn ornaments, midnight patrols flashing lights into windows, citations for non-existent violations. What began as a criminal case turned into a statewide audit. HOA boards were suspended, lawyers lined up, and one by one, communities that had lived under the thumb of petty tyrants started to push back. And Tyler? He walked back onto school grounds Monday morning to a standing ovation, not because he fought back, but because he didn't flinch. Because even with his wrists zip-tied and fear tightening in his chest, he knew who he was. He knew the law, and that scared those men more than anything. Ray didn't say much during the trial. He rarely does when he's angry. But when the verdict dropped and cameras crowded in, he gave them one quote, clipped, clear, and final. You don't get to wear a badge, fake or real, and terrorize people. My son knew that. These men didn't. That wasn't a soundbite. It was a verdict. And for every family that had ever stared down a clipboard, a citation, or a threat over a flower pot, it was a reckoning. They tried to build an empire out of fear, but they forgot the oldest rule in the book. If you're going to pick a fight, make damn sure it's not with the chief's kid.